We'll start with you, Sylvain. Second in the team's championship coming into this race. 4 podiums so far this season, which culminated in Cassidy winning race 2 in Berlin. Envision must be a great place to be around at the moment.
Yes, of course, it's a really great place to be. However, I've done this long enough to know that there's a long way to go. We're at the halfway point of the season, so yeah, clearly great start, great pace, but as always, Formula E is very, very competitive. It's very, very difficult and very rewarding to win a race, but also it doesn't take much for things to go wrong rapidly as well. So yeah, we are not looking at this too much, focusing on keeping the performance up there. All the teams are getting better and better every race, so we have to do the same and hopefully keep bringing the good results.
Well, Nick's had the better results out on track. Sebastian Buemi's been very, very strong in qualifying all season. Monaco's obviously a track that's known for being very hard to overtake at. So do you see it being as vital to get that grid position here? And also, you know, you've had that great one-lap speed, and do you see that continuing here?
Yeah, hopefully, yes. We'll still be good on one lap. Again, it's very close. I remember a few tenths of a second is the difference between P1 and P10. So again, very close. In terms of qualifying, of course, always important, always better to start near the front, but not as important, of course, as other series. We can actually here overtake pretty well. You saw it last year, many overtakes. And the Gen 3 car, which is more powerful, but also critically smaller. I think you will be able to see some overtaking clearly at some 2 or 3 places on the track. So, yeah, of course, qualifying really important, but not the end of the world. If you start in the top 5, top 8, you still have a good result.
Excellent. You've obviously made the decision to work with Jaguar this season. You must be pleased that you're already beating them.
Yes. Well, again, long season, right? Like it's a partnership. So of course, ultimately, each team wants to win. But the first and main objective is to be the fastest pairing, really. And other manufacturers are working the same way. So all it does is just creates a really strong spirit of partnership and of trying to find the best assets and attributes and strength of each team to try to reinforce the partnership, and then same for the others. And this is what brings results. But again, a long way to go. So,
well, it's paying off so far. Thanks, Sylvain. We'll move on to James Rossiter from Maserati MSG Racing, and it's Maserati MSG Racing's home race, so a very important race for you, an iconic track as well. So, is there added pressure with it being, such a special race for all those reasons?
I think the added pressure is coming from all the guests that I have this weekend. We have an incredible activation here, being our home race. So, yeah, very exciting to be here in Monaco. I mean, it's not far from our office. Everybody has their daily commute, so I'm even allowed to stay at home. So it's quite a privilege to be here racing.
And obviously, your first podium for Maserati MSG Racing last time out in race 2 in Berlin, and you'll be looking to continue after, I guess, the first half of the season, which you could maybe say was a sort of learning half of a season.
It was a pretty brutal learning first half of the season, to be perfectly honest. But it did allow us to create a really strong foundation in the team. It allowed us to group together. It allowed me to get to know the guys better, or the guys and girls. It really allowed us to gel as a team. And I think now you're going to see the results start to come through a bit stronger.
You and Maximilian are based here in Monaco, and I feel like I should ask whether that gives you an advantage. But with so many other drivers based here, does it?
I think, well, being based here, I'm not sure it gives an advantage. Having raced here myself and having worked in a team where I've stood on the podium as a driver and been able to be lucky enough to have won the race with DS Tachita in the past. So having that knowledge certainly is not going to hurt.
It's been a long time. It's been since the 60s, since Maserati have lined up against McLaren. Obviously, that is something that we're bringing together this weekend at this E-Prix. How important is having those two, iconic, legendary brands on the grid in Formula E for its growth?
I think it shows the importance of Formula E. I think it shows the strength of Formula E. The fact that you have so many strong brands now involved in the championship. The fact that everyone is taking electric racing so seriously. And the fact that the racing this year is incredible. I mean, anyone who's tuned into a race, these last few races have just been amazing. So lots more excitement to come from Formula E, and hopefully we can have a good battle with McLaren this weekend.
Thanks, James. Best of luck this weekend. Frederic, we've already had your home race for the team in Hyderabad for the team, but as a French person, this is considered your home race. added pressure for you as well?
I think it's always good to race in Monaco anyway. Should it be your home or not home race, it's so iconic that you get that specific pressure. Every driver wants to win here. So as a team, we would love to see our driver performing. That would be the only pressure we feel right now, is just make sure that we are as close as possible to the podium and, if possible, on the podium.
With Lucas and Oliver, you've got two drivers who have both done very well here in the past. You've not had a podium since the opening round back in Mexico, but you have been closer to the points recently, making progress. Do you feel like you can integrate into the top 10 this weekend?
Every weekend we hope that it will end up this way. I think they both explained how difficult the championship is, how steep the learning curve is with the new car, and for me with a new team and a new job. So it makes things always more difficult, but always more exciting. And typically getting to podiums, getting to points is something we look for. We know everyone is looking for the same thing. The only thing we need to manage right now is do step by step, prepare properly the race, good free practice, good quali, and then let's see what the race will give. But for sure, it will be a great show.
The Gen 3 car was launched here exactly a year ago in Monaco. You've had a year of knowing what it's like and maybe 6 months of putting it to test on the track. People are saying it's the perfect fit for the streets of Monaco. Would you agree? Because when we see other championships here that I won't name with potentially bigger cars, it makes it harder for overtaking. But it does seem like the new Gen 3 car fits on this track. It's like a perfect blend.
I think Formula E has shown since the beginning that it was fitting perfectly with Monaco. Coming to the Formula One race track, we for sure an achievement since the last seasons. The new car is the first time, but it's quite clear from what we have seen on the other racetracks that here it will fit perfectly. But that's probably, I would say, this time. In my previous position, I would have said that's really a big concern and something I will look for. Right now, I really don't care. As long as we perform well, the rest will be fine for me.
Finally, I have to ask the question, if you get a race victory, will you be falling into any kind of swimming pool here? It's an iconic moment that you would have to do if you did win a race.
That would be my biggest dream right now, is to fall in any swimming pool you can show me, would be a good sign.
Excellent. Well, better luck, and hopefully we'll see you drenched through come the end of the weekend, Frederic. Thank you very much. That concludes the press conference for me. Any other questions from the floor?
Good afternoon, everyone. Toby Bloom, eFormula.de and eFormula.news. One for you, James. You've spoken about the pressure after the first half of the season. Just how big is the relief now that you've scored that podium in Berlin? And what does that do to the mentality within the team, I guess, for the next part of the season? Thank you.
I think, in all honesty, the hard moments early on in the season reshaped us as a team. And the way that we pulled together before Berlin really enabled that podium. I think that it's been a bit of a weight off everybody's shoulders. There was definitely some of the guys inside the team feeling a lot of pressure more than others. And with that pressure now gone, and the understanding that the results will come if we keep following the process, it's just a case of now keeping on track, following the process and seeing what comes.
Hi, Jack Giordmaina, Formula E-Zone. Question for Frederic. After Berlin, obviously, the app team, the wet, obviously running Mahindra Powertrain, did a great job. What have Mahindra learned from that race that can maybe help them push forward for the rest of the season?
I think what we learned is definitely that we should listen more to our customer team sometimes. And the second thing is that the car is fast on wet, so we hope that it will rain all along the rest of the season. But seriously, what we definitely learn is that the difference between one car to another, even when they are similar, can make a big difference, and the level of confidence that the driver can get is also able to make a big confidence. And what we learned is that when you accumulate the two at the same time, it makes a big difference on the lap time. And that's probably what we need to work on right now, is make sure that every detail is very well understood, and that the confidence of our driver is getting higher so that they get the best out of the car.
A question for Mr. Filippi. How are you planning to manage with it the team, your two drivers? Have you shown who will be the first and who will the second, or are they free to run?
Yeah, good question, as always. It's too early in the championship, so definitely free to race now. When we get to the latter part of the championship, if you are for sure, if you have a driver that's clearly ahead, then we can make calls. You have to remember it's not so easy in Formula E. Races are changing so fast, and when you think the positions are X and Y, by the time you go on the radio, it's changed and it's something else. So it's not so easy to orchestrate than it could be in other championships. But yeah, once we are the latter part of the season, we'll try to do what is the most logical at the time.
Okay, thank you very much for your questions. That concludes the team principals press conference. So thanks to Sylvain, James, and Frederic.